Hi, everybody, and welcome to the webinar on professional law firm videos. I'm Eric Bersano with Market My Market. I'm the VP of Business Development here. And I've been working and consulting with law firms since 2006. I think I did my first video shoot with the law firm around 2007 timeframe. So I've seen a lot of the progress throughout the years, and hoping to share some of that knowledge with you if you're considering doing it for your own law firm. And then I'll have my colleague, Shlomo, introduce himself as well.
Hey, Eric. Thank you for the intro. I'm Shlomo Kugler. I'm the head of the video department for Market My Market. I've been in video for many years. I've done the video, being the videographer, the editing. I've done basically every position that there is. So I understand the technical side of video. I also understand the business side. I've worked with countless businesses and organizations to drive in millions of dollars through video. It's about understanding the industry and also knowing what the end game is. And the end game here is to bring in as many clients as possible. So that's what we're going to talk about today with this webinar, as well as some of the technical aspects of video.
Thanks, Shlomo. And since this is a webinar on video, we've got a lot of really cool video examples for you. Now, because we're on a Zoom, you might not get the same quality you would if you were on someone's website or social media page. So I just want to couch it with that. And I'm going to try to make the argument that a professionally done video is even better than being in there in person. So with that, we'll move on to the first slide. So this is the overview. For those of you who are spending your time with us today, we really appreciate it. But we're going to cover these main points, and why video is something that if you're here on this webinar, I might not need to convince you why video, but we really want to dig into the importance of it. And I think you'll learn a couple of things during this presentation, whether it's statistics or the ways to use video that you didn't already know. How to tell a story. Now, there's good video that can be very compelling and can really help to sell you as an attorney or your professional services. And then there's bad video. So all video is not created equal. So we want to teach you how to be able to tell a compelling story. And then we're going to jump into things like video techniques. So one of the big advantages to shooting a video is you get prep time. You also get to set and stage things exactly how you want them. And then there's a bunch of editing tricks that you can use to make sure that you've got the most compelling story, you're telling something efficiently, and you're keeping somebody captivated the entire time. And then we'll do the different types of video, which, as you're probably aware of, there could be video on your website, social media. We really want to dig into those topics a little. Now, what I'd like to do is kick off our first video example to show you really what a professional shot video and edited video can do for you. Now, if you look at the bullet points on the left-hand side, the only reason I'm showing that is that all of the equipment that we're using is state-of-the-art. This is cinematography grade equipment, everything from the camera to the lenses to the lighting kits that we're using, and the audio, which would be both lav mics and boom mics. So in the first version of the video, you're going to see the video that was shot with all this equipment. And then in the second version of the video, you're going to see what happens after the video is edited, color corrected, a music bed is laid on there, B-roll is used. Those are the tricks of the trade in order to keep people captivated. Even though we only want their attention for 60 to 90 seconds, these are the types of techniques that will keep people watching second after second to ingest the entire message that you have.
Montana is an amazing place with amazing people. When a person hires our law firm, they can expect personal attention, but they can also expect a firm that's big enough and has the resources to go to bat for them, no matter what kind of case it is.
We've been here in the Helena Valley for decades. We are the largest plaintiffs firm in the state of Montana.
Montana is an amazing place with amazing people. When a person hires our law firm, they can expect personal attention, but they can also expect a firm that's big enough and has the resources to go to bat for them, no matter what kind of case it is.
We've been here in the Helena Valley for decades. We are the largest plaintiffs firm in the state of Montana.
Now, the reason I'm showing you that is even though we've got this professional equipment, we only have so many seconds to captivate someone's attention. And by using the proper coloring, by using drone footage, by having these really clean cuts from one person to the other, you're keeping someone's mind active during this process. So having this type of a video is really going to keep someone engaged for that 60 or 90 seconds that you want to get your entire message across. With that, can we go to the next slide? Okay, so why video? This might have been a tough sell 10 years ago, but again, if you're on this webinar, you probably already considering video. Now, my biggest sales point to you would be, you're probably eventually going to have it anyway. When I started consulting with law firms in 2006, less than half of the attorneys had websites. Now you can't find an attorney that doesn't have a website. So if you're going to eventually have it anyway, have it at a time where we're still kind of in an early adopter phase. That means it will differentiate you. If someone's choosing who to call first and you have a nice professional video and they don't, odds are they're gonna call you first because they get that chance to connect. More and more platforms are moving to video. LinkedIn, one of the advantages with LinkedIn now is if you upload a video to LinkedIn, it starts playing automatically when someone scrolls through their feed. That's going to grab attention as opposed to, a paragraph or just an image. TikTok was started in 2016 and it has already surpassed Google in the number of, in the amount of internet traffic that it gets. And that includes all of Google's suite, meaning Google Maps, Gmail. TikTok is now #1, and it is a video-only platform. Instagram, in order to keep up with TikTok, is switching almost to video exclusively. So they're trying, because of the algorithm TikTok has, they're trying to get more and more people to upload and interact with video. And then YouTube, as you've probably heard before, is the #2 search engine in the world, and it's strictly video. So everybody is moving towards this medium, and the consumption of it is only going up. So I'd ask you to consider this. When you're searching for either a product or even a service, let's just say that you're going to see a doctor, are you going to be compelled by someone's CV and their image, or a 30 to 60-second video on that doctor that allows you to connect with them, to hear why they're passionate about what they do? Or maybe it's a financial advisor. If you're choosing on who to go with, that's really could be the last thing that you see before you make that contact. So I don't think you can overhype video enough, because it's so much more compelling than just words on a page. Next slide, please. So I hear this all the time when I talk to my clients. So they'll say, if someone comes into my office, 99% of the time, they're going to sign up with me. Or they'll even say, if I get them on the phone, the chance of me signing them up is enormous compared to something that would be in an automated form online. And why is that? Well, it's because they're getting to hear your passion, your experience come through. Now, I kind of joked in the beginning about why video might be better than in person. I still think that in person is probably the best that you can get, but video does offer advantages that in person doesn't even offer. One of that is when you do a video with the planning process, you get to say exactly what you want to say. And then when we combine visuals and audio techniques and special effects, and I'm not talking about Jurassic Park type special effects, but I am talking about drone footage, overlays, editing of the audio, using B-roll in strategic places to keep somebody engaged in that content. Now this person can watch that once, twice, or 3 times. You get that messaging that you want perfectly and tell them why they should hire you. The other thing is, like I said before, it's still a differentiator. Not all attorneys have video just yet. And most of the ones that do don't have an extremely well-produced piece. Mobile friendly. So the vast majority of searches, somewhere in the 80% realm, are being done on mobile phones. Do you think it's more likely that someone's going to read 500 words about why you're a better attorney, or watch a 60-second video of you explaining why they should get the first call? And then the other thing that I think is key is it makes you omnipresent. Somebody could be watching your video on the other side of the country at 2 in.the morning, or 10 people could be watching your video simultaneously. So this really acts as a 24/7, sales, pitch for you and your services. Next slide.
Okay. So
I'll pass it off to Shlomo here.
Thank you. So just to add one more point from what you were saying before, you can see me on the screen, right?
Yep.
So just to add one more point, every law firm website has thousands of visitors. And how many of these visitors you end up having a real meeting with? So even if video might not be the same thing as a real meeting, and we want to call it a semi-meeting, if you have a video on your page, these thousands of people will have that semi-meeting with you, and that will lead to converting more clients. So I think that's just something that's so important. And by not having video, by not having it, is a big wasted opportunity. So moving on to the next slide, video storytelling. This video is 90+ seconds that will be on your webpage, and you want to have your best sales pitch you can have, your ultimate sales pitch. And the messaging has to be downright. Every second of the video is so valuable, and we want to maximize that. So the messaging techniques that we have, and to be able to pull the best sound bites, we work on this through every process, every stage of the video, from before the shoot to during the interview to even in the editing room. From before the shoot, we have multiple Zoom calls with you to go over the logistics of the shoot. We have the shoot document also, which I'm going to show you in a second. But say one more point about the Zoom calls, we talk about your mission statement with you. And every firm has their mission statement, but we've seen so many mission statements, and we want to make sure your video isn't generic and that we could really bring out your uniqueness. So we discuss how we can do that. And on the last call, we talk about your shoot document and we go over it. So this is an example of a shoot document that we had recently. Shoot document does two things. It allows the shoot to go really smoothly. So it's a logistical thing, but it's also something that allows you to give the best performance. We have details about the firm, the project information, the video outline that mentions the videos that we're going to be doing. We have the shoot schedule that has every second of the day accounted for. There's so much that we're doing in the day, and we want to maximize. And we even have time cushions, because any obstacles that may or may not come up throughout the day, we're able to avoid them. And we have our fail safes. We have the preparation checklist to make sure the firm is well prepared, the prep guide to make sure you can give your best performance and kind of know how an interview works. And then we have interview questions that we write up based on what your mission statement is. And these questions flesh out your mission statement really well. And we even have follow-up questions to maximize. And we end off with closing statements that we'll discuss in a moment. So the next stage of video is during the interview, that we try to focus on the messaging. Many times attorneys will ask us if they can use a teleprompter. They want to make sure the words in the video are as exact as possible, that their mission statement is said as perfectly as possible. And we strongly discourage it, because by not having a script, number one, you're able to give off a much more powerful performance. And number two, you can have much more flexibility during the shoot, where we could change up how the video is going to be. So in regards to having the more powerful content, when somebody is watching your video, you want to connect with them on an emotional level. So you want to be as genuine as possible. And when someone senses that you're not being so genuine, like when you're reading from a teleprompter, or if your eyes are moving with the teleprompter, they kind of lose interest and they stop watching your video. So we want to maximize. We want to have the best content you can have. And to kind of bring out an example, when you watch the news and you see a news anchor talking, the reason you're there is for the content. You want to hear what they have to say. It doesn't bother you that their eyes are moving with the teleprompter, because you care about what they have to say. When an attorney is talking on a video, you're not even sure you want to use an attorney sometimes. If so, who says it's going to be this attorney? And if you start feeling that they're not being so genuine, then you just lose your interest. And the flexibility that it provides is we don't come into the shoot with a locked-in schedule. We're able to even change the locked-in script. We can even change up the script or the supposed script while we're there. We once had an example where we got to a firm and we realized that they were one of the most family-friendly, caring type of firms I've ever come across. And we didn't pick this up from the Zoom calls. And because we didn't have the teleprompter script, we're able to incorporate into the video and made the video a hit. So in the editing room, also, we focus on the messaging. There's a concept called shoot to edit. This means during the shoot, we're already thinking about the edit. Because I've been in every position for video and I understand how it works, I've been a videographer, editor, producer, a lot of other positions too. So I understand every step of the process. And when I'm there listening to the attorneys talking and saying their sound bites, I'm already visualizing in front of me how the sound bites will weave together, which sound bites we'll use, which ones we won't use. It's also very valuable. Like we once had an attorney who had to leave for a deposition. There's no time at all for their interview. And we said, you just have 5 minutes. And we realized there were some gaps in the sound bites that we needed. And we just had that attorney fill in those gaps and say a couple lines. And that's what made the video. So piecing everything together, that is a challenge in and of itself that helps out with the messaging. There's a lot there. And for the closing statements that I showed you in the shoot document, many times an attorney might have a golden nugget that they say, but we can't use it for a video because it kind of leaves the last line off in thin air. So these closing statements, we have 3 to 5 that we write up, and we even have attorneys, throw some out at us, things that come to mind. And these button up the videos and enable us to use those golden nuggets. And I guess we could move on from there. So the next video technique that we'll go over is that we're trying to maximize the content. So even when you have amazing content, like we go through hours and hours of interview footage, we could easily find great content put together, but every second is so valuable. So a lot of times there are sound bites that we can't use because there's an issue with the sound bite. And there's just untapped potential there because when the sound bites all come together, when we do our magic in the editing bay, we could really solve a lot of problems and make the video even better. And an 80% video, an 80% performance on your video isn't what you want. So let's say there's hesitations or there's different portions of sound bites that you want to put together. When we piece them together and do our magic, there's still an issue of a jump cut where he could be talking, the attorney could be talking, and then it kind of jumps to the next clip and it just looks very off and unprofessional. So there's 2 ways we could solve this problem. Number 1 is multiple angles. We have 2 different cameras for every interview and we're able to switch the angle to kind of cover up that jump cut. So the first video example we're going to show you is done by David Lever of Lever and Ecker Law Firm in White Plains, New York. He did a great job of the interview, but there was a certain point we needed in the overview video where we asked him the same question 3 times and he had great answers, but there was a flaw in each answer that he said. And we needed to take a portion from each of the 3 answers and put them all together. And then once we did that, we had the issue of the jump cut. So in this video, it's pretty self-explanatory. You'll see how we fast forward through the video to go to the next portion. When it says record, that's when the video is recording. So I'm just gonna pull that one up.
As a young man, I was in a motorcycle accident where I was injured, and I know that happened if I had the right resources, which led to surgery down the road. It was a tough time. But I think my experience having gone through an injury helps me to relate to a client.
To remember these sound bites that he said,
As a young man, I was in a motorcycle accident where I was injured, which led to surgery down the road. It was a tough time, but I think my experience having gone through an injury helps me to relate to a client.
Okay, so that's an example that illustrated that Another thing that multiple angles does for us is it provides a lot of production value. So the next example we'll show you is the personal injury video we made for MSWD Law in Montana. And they didn't make any mistakes. We did not need to switch angles, but by us switching angles, when you pay close attention to it, you'll see that it adds a dramatic effect and really draws in the viewer.
Personal injury is just the area of law regarding when someone has been injured and someone else is responsible for the wrong that caused that injury.
A serious personal injury can turn a person's life upside down. It can result in catastrophic financial loss and emotional harm.
It can affect your ability to have a job. It could affect your family's well-being. It could affect the way that you are able to function.
So the next way that we're able to solve this problem of jump cuts is by putting B-roll over the footage where you have the cut. So in this next example, we're going to show you, there's really two examples. The first example, there's only a slight hesitation. There's like two slight hesitations. You'll see a red screen come over the portion that we cut out. And it really is good enough for the video. However, you want to make sure you have the most confident performance you can have. And in addition to that, because we only have those 90+ seconds, we want to make sure every second is used properly. And we want to make sure we have a valuable clip in those seconds. So I'm going to play this one.
Overlapping areas of interest, and we frequently are working with overlapping areas of interest, and we frequently are working with
I was really impressed with their professionalism and their empathy. A lot of things went through my mind, but they made me feel at ease. I was really impressed with their professionalism and their empathy. A lot of things went through my mind, but they made me feel at ease.
So this last example that we showed you, it was much more of a fatal type of error where we couldn't even use the soundbite for the video. By doing this technique, by putting the B-roll over it, we're able to solve it and we're able to use it. So another thing that B-roll can do is it helps tell the story. The soundbites tell the story of your mission statement, but B-roll will just enhance it. And then of course it adds a lot of production value. The next video technique that I want to talk about is lighting. Lighting is really a loaded topic. There's so much to talk about, but for what it comes down to, lighting could give you that commercial look. There's a concept of having flat lighting versus having depth with the lights. When we have 3+ lights, I mean, we even have 6 lights, sometimes 7 lights, but what this does is it creates depth with the atmosphere. It gives it that commercial look. When you see a commercial without hearing anything or watching it, you know it's a commercial. And the reason for that is because of the depth. You might not even notice it, but that's what gives it that look. The flat lighting is when there's a single light source that just makes it like any video that you can see. Now, on the right, you'll see that there are 2 pictures of interviews that we did. At first glance, you'll think these were completely 2 different setups that we had, different locations. In reality, they're both sitting in the exact same chair in the same room with the same setup. All we did was we shifted the angle a tiny bit. We moved a couple things around in the background. And what really did it was that we cast a red light in the background that really differentiated it and gave it that variety. This is something that's so important throughout the day because there's only so many hours that we're there for the shoot. We're already going to a lot of different locations to film B-roll, to film the interviews, and having this technique in our pocket to save time is very valuable.
Thanks, Shlomo. So I want to go over a couple of the reasons or that you would put video on and how powerful it can be. So I put preparation meets opportunity. Again, one of the big distinct advantages of doing a video is you get time to prepare and say exactly what you want. It's a chance for you to go back and think about why you got into law. You know, are you legacy? Were your parents lawyers? Or did something happen to you personally? You know, tell your unique story. And I always tell people before we do a shoot is when you're talking to somebody who has exactly the type of case that you want, what do you tell that person? When do they perk up and go, wow, you've really nailed something that makes me think that you're the attorney for me. So it gives you a chance to truly connect to somebody because they're getting the audio, the visual, and again, with the production value, you're actually kind of tapping into their emotions a little bit with the music that you use, the lighting that you use. Again, perfect messaging because you're able to not only prepare for it before, but in the editing bay, we take the best of the best. And then, be everywhere. You can literally be on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, on your website. 100 people could be watching this at the same time. You can push your message out, naturally, organically. People can share your video or you can advertise your video. The website, the amount of time someone spends on a website before they click the back button is less than a second. And they're really, really more compelled to stay on there if they see a video. So this is your chance to make a first impression. Again, think of somebody who has the perfect case for you. If you're a DUI attorney, if you're a family law attorney or a personal injury attorney, you want to make that powerful first impression because this person finally made the decision to look for an attorney and they're wanting to call somebody right away. They want answers. They don't want to surf the internet all day. So tell your compelling story. This is going to help with conversion. The data is out that video is a great conversion tool because people watch it, they connect, and then they pick up the phone. And these are evergreen assets for you. A really good video could be an asset for 10 plus years that you'll have. And then there's the social media. Social media really changed the game. When I started working with attorneys, it was still like the yellow book era. Okay, well, that's not an awareness medium. That's somebody who knows they need something. So the only awareness mediums you had were TV and radio. And only the most well-funded law firms were on TV and radio. It's probably less than 1% of all law firms. So what social media does is it allows you to get into that branding and awareness game. So you can pinpoint a zip code. You can pinpoint your city as opposed to buying an entire DMA. You can set your budget to, a few hundred to a few thousand. So getting branding out there is a big piece now with bigger and bigger law firms coming out there. And then it's great for awareness. And what I mean by that is if you got a DUI, you know that you need a DUI attorney. But think of the mass torts or insurance bad faith. These are topics where people don't necessarily know that they need an attorney yet. So if you get in front of somebody who used Roundup and has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, or maybe they had a fire in their house and the insurance company offered them a few $1,000s to replace everything. If you get your message in front of that person, they are much more likely to call you because you've just made them aware that they need an attorney. Next slide, please. So last thing I want to cover before the summary are the different types of videos. So a firm overview is a must-have. This is what's going to go on your homepage. This is what you're going to push out on your social media. It's going to involve you and your partners, usually somewhere between 60 and 90 seconds. It's going to be your most compelling story of what you do, why you got into the law. Maybe you talk about a specific client where you changed their life or they helped change your life because you made such a difference to them. So it's a very compelling story. And this is in some of our shoots can be anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours just to get all the elements of this firm overview perfect. Attorney profiles are very important. So, managing, lots of different legal websites, the attorney profiles are typically the second most viewed page behind the homepage. And what that means is if I've got a real serious legal issue, I want to know who I'm hiring. So if I go to the attorney profile page and I can read about the law firm, the school they went to and that they played sports, great. But how about a professional attorney profile that explains to you you're passionate about the practice areas that you have? Then there's practice area specific. think about not just the most generic, general PI, but medical malpractice and how nuanced that can be. Or you can talk about the details of a case like a third-party injury from a construction accident. This is where you can get really detailed and show off your expertise. Client testimonials or reviews, one of the most important parts of marketing these days. Somebody's going to look at your reviews, what your average star rating is. Well, why not have a compelling story from one of your clients? These can be very emotional, very, very convincing, because you're saying, here's a person that was in a similar position to you, and here's how we helped them, and this is how it has changed their life. Now, we get the question all the time about how many videos can you do in a day? Again, if you're going to do a firm overview, that's going to take a big chunk of the day, but we could knock out 10 FAQ videos in a matter of an hour. And FAQ videos are great because these are typically searches that people do often. And if you've got content and video around that FAQ, it's going to be a much more compelling story. There's social media videos. So videos for social media can be a little bit more off the cuff. They don't need to be as professional. TikTok in particular is looking for more natural type videos, but having some good production tricks in those videos are going to keep people engaged and help to convert more. And then there's a full-blown commercial, something that you're going to run on standard TV or even OTT now. If you're looking to advertise on Hulu, YouTube videos, we could do, the standard 15, 30, 60-second videos with all that commercial grade. So the variety of types of videos that can be shot and all used to help promote you. All right, I'll go through the summary here real quick. So I try to make a compelling story about video being better than being there in person. I still think being there in person is a little bit better, but you also get this compelling story that you get to perfect. I do think it's the next best thing to being there because you get to align everything in your perfect scenario. You get to pre-plan everything so that you're not leaving anything out in any of these videos. A professional video is going to be evergreen. Again, I know people who've had videos done 6, 8, 10 years ago that still have those videos. They may have changed their website look 2 or 3 times, but they still have those same videos. And that video becomes your 24-hour salesperson. So no matter where you are, if you're asleep, on vacation, that video is working for you. So if I missed anything there, Shlomo, let me know. Otherwise, we'll roll into questions.
I think we should roll right in.
Okay, so we'll open it up to questions. I know sometimes people don't want to be the first to ask a question, so we'll wait a second or two here. Hopefully we get a couple. So Shlomo, I'll let you take first one. How much of my time does it take? So something we get often.
So to answer that question, it's really up to you. Every firm is different. Some firms like to have a major collaborative effort where they're involved every step of the way, and we could work with that. What we can do for you is do everything for you, where we plan everything. We'll obviously have our Zoom calls, but you don't have to worry about a thing. I mean, even sometimes attorneys will be doing depositions or doing whatever it is they need to do at random points in the day, because video might be something that could be very overwhelming. As we showed you, there's so many aspects to the video, but you don't have to worry about it. We could take care of everything. And our shoot document especially is there to help you understand everything. But even if you don't read the shoot document, we'll go over the Zoom call with you, but it's just something you don't have to worry about, that I would say. But to really answer the question about what was the question again? How long it takes? How
much of my time? We know lawyers are busy. One of the things that I would say is, to try to clear your schedule as much as possible on shoot day is very important. In our planning process, we're planning for anything and everything to go wrong with the day. So there's always a plan B and a plan C. But we would like it for everybody involved in the shoot to be there as long as possible. And the planning part, again, we are going to do our best to pull out all of the unique things about yourself. We've done these interviews a lot, so we know the questions to ask. So you're probably looking at, a couple hours before the shoot, most of the day of the shoot. And then once everything's in the can, the editing process is all on us, and you get to see the final result. Anything you wanted to add there?
No, I think that's good. All right.
Okay.
What's the next question?
Yeah. So the other question was similar to the one we just answered. And how many videos do you shoot in a day? You could start this one, Shlomo. I got a couple comments on that, though.
Yeah, I mean, we have our packages available. Usually the videos range between, say, 5 to 8 videos, but it depends what you want. There's only so much time in the day. Sometimes people would rather have less videos, but have higher quality for the videos that we do have. Like if we go to a client's home, we're going to have less time for interviews for other videos. So it's really up to you. I would say a lot of times when a firm wants to have a 2-day shoot, the first day is where we knock out most of the interviews and the content. And the second day is where we give them the option of, do you want more videos from interviews, or do you want us to make the content go to even to the next level? Like an example could be, we bring an attorney to the city. Some attorneys even want to go to the beach. There's a lot of content that we could get out there. So it really depends on what they want.
Yeah, I'd say one of the things, the most typical thing to optimize the time is we do what we call a 1.5-day shoot, where we come in early and we spend about 3 hours in the office setting up the first shoot. Now, what we request before we get out there is photos and video of the office, so we have an idea of what we're coming into. But once we actually get there in person, we can pick our first location, and the setup for that first location could take 1.5 to 2 hours. We also might want to move some things around to get the best lighting, move a desk here, move a plant there, some of the awards or materials that you might use during a trial, get those out. So that 3 hours the day before allows us to knock out all of that. And then the next day can be all about shooting. So the number of videos that you get shot is, obviously the length of the shoot and then the types of videos. So I got 2 other questions. One of them is pretty easy, so I'll save that for the last one if we don't get any other. What if I don't have a great looking office? So Shlomo, why don't you take that one?
That's a very good question. So when it comes to video, you have to understand there's an answer to everything. There's always a solution. If someone doesn't have a nice office, we just throw on a different lens, make the background more out of focus. I mean, it's not going to look bad at all. We'll just focus on different things. We could also have shots that are a little bit focusing a little bit more on details. Sometimes the outside of a firm could look really nice. We get more shots over there. We also strongly encourage people to go to the courthouse for us to get shots outside the courthouse. So there's so many ways to go about that. I'll tell you, you don't need a nice office at all. And the interviews, there's also a thing we can do where we can show a little bit less B-roll and show the interviews more. And the interviews, we really paint them to look really good. There's so much we do, as we were saying before about adding in different colored lights in the background. We can make the interviews look really solid. It doesn't matter where it is. It could be a blank wall, and we could do magic with that.
All right. And last question, unless we get one more at the end, pretty basic. How long does it take to get the videos back? So the whole process is typically, about 2 weeks to prepare. You've obviously got the shoot day, and then the editing process to get those back is usually between 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how many videos that you shot. A commercial grade, something set for TV might take longer. That's about right there, Shlomo?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. And I mean, look, we're here for you. We want to make sure you get those videos back as soon as possible. Like, don't be surprised if we deliver them even earlier than that time frame.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining live. And for those of you that have gotten this far in the recording, we really appreciate your time. And if you'd like to get a hold of us, we will have our information at the end of this video. Thank you.